Welcome to the Kratom Sobriety podcast. Today I am here with Charlie, and this is Lily speaking. We're going to do our intro today, but first I'm going to introduce our episode, which is 171. And this is actually an interview that I did with Eric O. And Eric talks about his experience getting addicted to Kratom after having no addictions in his past at all. And just a little maybe sensitivity warning that we do discuss miscarriage and just a little bit of kind of the medical aspect of some sexual, just discussing that in general. So if you're sensitive to that issue, maybe skip this one. But it's all in a very medical specific context just for informational purposes. And I think that it could really help some other folks who may have experienced similar thing. So on that note, Charlie and I are going to talk about our little intro topic for today. And it's mostly about community. We were just talking about how important it is that when you become addicted to Kratom and you realize it's a problem, almost every single one of our guests says the first thing you need to do is tell someone. And it tends to be a very isolating experience. So we just wanted to touch on that, Charlie.
All addiction, there's stigma. So there's this urge, and you're probably not your best self. So you're hiding your use from your partner or the people in your life. Then you start hiding it from yourself. And then on top of Kratom is especially isolating. There's some invisibility to it. People don't even know what Kratom is. And if they do know what it is, oh, you can get addicted to that.
Yeah.
So I think there is a theme with many of our guests emerging out of that hidden behavior, bringing it up to people in their real life. I know people reach out online and try to make connections through social media, and that's very helpful. But I think that looking people in the eyes, and so it could be through your family, it could be through church, it could be going to 12-step groups.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that a lot of folks, once they tell one person in real life, in person, and they sit down and they're face to face and they say it out loud, it becomes real. And it's hard too, because Charlie, you said you're not your best self when you use Kratom. And unfortunately, a lot of us that maybe don't come from having addictions in the past, we truly actually think that we are our best selves when we're starting to take Kratom. We think that it's improving our lives, and we do it because we think it makes us faster and happier and calmer and all the things that we assume that it's going to do and does for a very short amount of time. And then we think, oh, we found this solution and it's awesome. And I don't need to do it with friends or do it with other people. This is my thing and I'm better. And then you realize as everything starts to fall apart that it's not. And that can often be the most shameful and embarrassing part of it. You're like, shit, my solution did not work. Now I have to tell someone.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that makes it hard for quitting, just because almost everybody I've talked to, there was a performance boost at some point, whether it was for mental health, or it helped them on the job, or it got them to the gym, and there were benefits. And so eventually it was this long battle where the benefits were disappearing and the bad stuff was becoming more emergent. And it was around then when I had the realization, and I had the history, so it wasn't new to me. I was like, this was more like an echo, like, wow, this is just like when I was drinking. So for the folks like you and Eric who didn't have previous long histories, like, that's a different experience.
Yeah.
Having that, this isn't working, and the extra shame.
Yeah.
The medicine not being medicine anymore.
Exactly. It's when the positives start to outweigh the negatives, you think it's awesome in the beginning, and then it switches, and then the negatives are outweighing the positives. I had a little reading I wanted to give, just a short little paragraph in this adorable book that I'm reading. It's one of those books where every single day is the day of the year, and it has a little quote or reading. It's called Meditations for Women Who Do Too Much by Ann Wilson Schaaf. I've had this book for years, and you can just open it up to the day of the year, and it's June 1st. This is the reading of today. So I just took a look at the book today, and it directly associated with this topic, and it's about meeting others. And so this is for the reading for October 30th. It says, it's a lot harder to get off the roller coaster in the middle than it was to get on. This is why we need the companionship of others who are struggling with the same issues. They support our process of getting unhooked from our obsessive doing. It's only with the support of others and the renewed connection with a power greater than ourselves then we can hope to become whole. So just food for thought, like we do need others. We make things happen by talking about things. You got to talk about what's going on. You got to break through that barrier of fear, and then you can start healing.
With Kratom in particular, I wanted to, I got into this mess by myself. So I was very determined at first. I need to get out of this mess by myself. And I thought quitting was a solo venture, and it is on your shoulders. Only you can get yourself to stop using a substance. But that was one of the points of the podcast, was that to promote the message, you don't have to do this by yourself. There's many people with a shared experience. It's not this. At this point, we've had 150 people on with very similar journeys.
Yeah.
And the specifics might vary, but we have a lot in common. So you can recover. You don't have to recover alone. You can find a community somewhere where you're not by yourself anymore. And I think that's be very helpful.
Absolutely. And even if I know a lot of us have complicated relationships with our health practitioners, especially right now with the healthcare industry being really difficult. But after I told my then boyfriend, who's now my husband, but when I told my boyfriend at the time, that was like the hard thing to do. That was hard to admit it. But then after he said, Lily, you got to tell your doctor. And I'm like, no, I do not. I do not want to tell my doctor. I didn't want to tell you. I got through that fear. I had to take some notes because I was not doing well. I had to write down my points. And I told her what I was going through. And she had to do a little bit of research on what it was, but she wanted to help me. And I was having a lot of panic attacks. And so she was able to prescribe me something like short term. It was gabapentin just to help with the panic attacks and going to sleep at night. So while that's not a long-term solution or anything, I wouldn't have known that was an option unless I had opened myself up to the scary idea of talking to my doctor. I really did not want to do that. And I'm glad that I did in the end, but it sucked at the time. So all of it is very sucky at first to talk to people about it. It's going to suck. And then it's going to get better slowly but surely. You have to take that scary leap. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Lily. And I think this is a good point to go to that interview with Eric. Thank you.
Yeah. Here we go. Hello, welcome to the Kratom Sobriety podcast. My name is Lily, and I'm here today with Eric O, and he's going to share his story and his recovery journey with us. So, how are you doing, Eric?
I'm doing good, Lily. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. How would you like to introduce yourself on this show in regards to what you do, where you're from, anything about your life?
Yeah, I am 32 years old. I live in Northern California. I have a family, a wife, toddler that's going to be 2 in a couple months, and
Aw.
then a golden retriever dog, and she's 3 years old. She's amazing. Love her to death too. But the baby, I love him not as much as well. And then what I do for hobbies, I love working out ever since my sobriety date. It gives me something more to look forward to rather than going straight to those blue bottles. And then for work, I work in the medical field. So I'm constantly on the road traveling. So that was kind of one of the reasons why I got into it, because I was out on the road.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So medical field, traveling. And to be fair, I understand pets usually come first before the babies. So it's understandable to love them very much.
Yep. That was my first baby. We call her my fur baby.
Ah, I love it. So what is your Kratom abstinence date?
January 31st of this year. So going on 9 months right now.
Amazing.
And I'm very happy for
Amazing.
it. Yeah, there's been plenty of times. I did originally stop back in November, early November, mid-November of 2024. And then I started drinking about a couple weeks after New Year's, maybe a week after. And then, as everyone says, they feel like they can just have one and be okay. And then, so then they got to stop sometime. But we can get more into that
Yeah.
as we start going down the timeline a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And now you have a sobriety baby because you have 9 months of sobriety.
Yes, I do. Yes.
You made it.
The
I
baby's
like
been
to think of
the baby's been
sobriety.
brewing.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So how did you first encounter Kratom, and what form was it in, and what kind of inspired you to try it?
Yeah. So I first stumbled upon it with a kava bar that opened a little bit down the street. I was house sitting for my parents and my wife, which she was my girlfriend at the time. We both just stumbled into it and we just had kava only, didn't think much of it. We liked the buzz. And then about a couple years later, one of our friends introduced us to the kratom leaves. So it was brewed in a large urn. We loved the buzz. It kept us focused was a stimulant as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that was probably in 2016 when we started to drink that. My wife and I both would. And then when we would drink it like maybe once a month or anything like that, when we would meet up with friends as a better alternative to going out to the bars and drinking and spending a lot more and not having to worry about like a DUI. So I
Yeah.
started school full time and I was working full time, which is working about 50 to 60 hours a week and being a full time student online. So
Wow.
I found Kratom tea to be very beneficial and helpful for my all nighter.
Wow.
And I would drink it. I'd probably have maybe 2 cups within the whole entire night period before I went to work. But then, of course, when I came home from work, I'd automatically just crash. But hey, I finished all my schoolwork. So that was the end goal. And then it nothing really came of it. I would always go to the kava bars with our friends. We had a friend that opened a couple kava bars. It was free for us. And so we
Mm.
never had to pay. And we would barter, so we'd give them things, and we in return we would get free teas. And this was
Nice.
all the way from 2018 to 2023. So it was about
Wow.
5 years of just consistent free teas. And it gradually started to increase on a daily usage. First
Okay.
start off at one or two, and then going back to the kava bar because I worked right down the street from it. And I would tend to spend hours there just hanging out, making friends. Same people would always be in there. I was the same person. I was a regular. It was like a kava fly or a kratom fly, I would say. And luckily at that time, those little blue bottles were not in the market yet. So that was
Yeah.
something that I'm very grateful for. I stumbled upon those. I remember my first day having it. I was listening to a podcast while I was working with my current job. And I was driving and I was listening to a health podcast, and they brought up those little blue bottles, saying how it was a good alternative to drinking and it was beneficial. So I stopped into Smoke Shop. I went to its website. It said it was right down the street. So I grabbed 2 of them, drank my first one
Mm-hmm.
on June 6th, 2023. And I drank one and I didn't really feel much of it because I was just so used just to the basic tea. And then
Mm-hmm.
drank the second one, didn't feel much of it as well. That I tried it probably like maybe 6 hours later, nothing. So I gave it a couple weeks, and then another person said they tried it before, and then I tried it again, and it was ends, all ends, and I wouldn't drink it every day. It gradually started making a large snowball effect with my time trying to find these
Mm.
and financially as well. So I was starting around one or two a week, and then it started to one a day, and then two a day, three a day. I got all the way up to about 6 or 8 bottles a day. I never really counted, just
Yeah.
based off of the recurring visits to the smoke shop and gas stations. If I'd go 2 to 3 times a day, and I'd probably buy one or two. So it was getting up there. It was started becoming a habit. I
Mm.
didn't think much of it during that time. And financially, I'll get into that in a second. So my wife and I, we were expecting our second child. And she had no idea about my addiction to these items. She had no idea what they even were. And she eventually found out because she said, from her perspective, I was acting weird. Now that I'm sober 9 months, so I have a clear mind and a visibility of how I was acting. I was extremely moody. My emotions were all over the board. I was irritable. I was angry. I was just a roller coaster, and I felt so bad for her. And then once we're probably about 3 months into our pregnancy, she had that hunch of just something was wrong just in the last almost 6 months, almost a year. And I left my phone at home and my old iPhone. She had all my credentials to log into my bank account and she saw everything. And I think she counted up to $20,000 in credit card debts. I fully maxed out all of my credit cards. I was making the minimum payments. The interest rates were high. And it was just, I felt like somebody that was stuck. And deep down, I did know, I did talk to a friend and I said, I'm worried this is going to all blow up in my face, that I can't stop. I tried. And she eventually, I came home and lo and behold, it was not the prettiest. I was in big trouble, of course. I would be in trouble. I'm mad at myself for allowing that to happen. Bless her heart. I love her to death. If it weren't for her, I don't know where I would be because now I'm seeing all these stories on Reddit of people
Yep.
going deep down and all the deaths and respiratory issues and as well. And I used to have asthma when I was a kid, so I don't know where that would have gone if I would have continued to use.
In terms of the respiratory suppression of long-term use? Yeah.
Most definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Even though I was doing it for about a year and a half almost. But people can go overboard and I'm thankful, not going to with that. Nothing really crazy happened to me. One thing that really did help with me, one of the benefits with Kratom itself was I had a torn disc in my back and I was constantly taking like ibuprofen, Tylenol, Aleve just to mediate the pain. And then I found Kratom and the pain went away because the pills were giving me ulcers in my stomach. I've never had abuse with drugs or alcohol. So this was something new for me. And now I see why people get hooked on opioids because this is something that's extremely addictive. It's actually terrifying.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And then, so once she found out about it, we added up all the debt that accumulated over the year and a half. And of course, that's not including the ones I had in cash as well. So that wasn't accounted for. And it was an issue. So I stopped cold turkey early mid-November of 2024. And I knew that I was going to go through withdrawals because I tried doing cold turkey while I was a couple weeks before she found out. And it was painful. So I would say, I can't do it. I would just have to drink another one just to alleviate that pain. And I went full cold turkey and it was the worst week of my life. I've never experienced something like this in my life. I could not sleep. I was constantly sweating. I was throwing up constantly and also having bowel. And when I was trying to sleep at night, I would get the late restless leg syndrome. And then on the inside of my skin, it felt like somebody had hot sandpaper and was just dragging it all through my body, almost as ants were. And it was miserable. I could not sleep for a week. And as a father to a newborn at the time, of course, I was still there and I still needed help out. So I was going through these withdrawals also with the newborn as well. So it made me realize I did not want to go back to this. This was something that was extremely bad. After like the butting heads with my wife, because she set me straight and I love that she did that. But I caused so much stress to her. Unfortunately, I blame myself for this one. We lost a baby that she was 3 to 4 months pregnant with. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Oh,
Thank you, Lily. Yeah, never really said this out loud.
Okay.
It was hard because I felt like I caused the situation financially. I put stress on our family. I was choosing these blue stupid bottles over my family itself. I would lie. I would go out of my way to say I'd be home in 30 minutes. I would be home in an hour and a half because I had to drive a couple exits away or something just to feed my crazy addiction from these items that aren't regulated. And it's unfortunate, but we got past that, of course, because we're a family and she loves me to death and I love her to death. And I give everything to her because if she would have not done what she did to pull me out of that ditch, I don't know where I would be right now and where we would be as a family as well. So she is great. I love that she did that. But it's unfortunate to what happened, what aligned up for it. So it was
I just have to reflect that, first of all, no one enjoys their first intervention. Of course, it went badly. It is always horrible for both sides. And it's really wonderful that your wife was able to talk to you in a productive way that was for your healing and the benefit of you and the family. And no one chooses to become an addict, especially to this, especially you have no addiction history at all. This is completely out of the blue. It's not your fault. And it's not your fault that the baby was lost. It's awful that you know that you participated in stress within the family. It's nothing that you would have done on purpose. So I just have to say that because it's very guilt inducing to have addictions like this. And we all carry something from our addiction. And, you know, what we did is what we did. It's not who we are. That's a phrase that I like to say when I feel guilty. Like, the shit we did is the shit we did. It's not you. So anyway, I had to say that before we go on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate those words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have an amazing, caring wife, and she's helping you through this. And then, okay, so it's November 2024. You're going through the acute withdrawals for the first time, and you have a newborn, so everyone's on night duty. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. He was.
That sounds terrible.
And waking up multiple times a night. So yeah, I was just, and I was sleeping on the sofa because I was out on the sofa because she needed to sleep.
Yeah.
And because I was constantly shuffling around, being not even still. I was just moving around, moaning and groaning because I was in so much pain. The joints hurt and everything as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was okay. So you went cold turkey off of 6 to 8 bottles. And how long was that acute withdrawal? Was that a whole week you said, or
about a whole week?
How did that go? Okay.
I would never put all my worst into me. It was horrible.
I know.
And I couldn't think straight. So I took off couple weeks off of work just because I just would not have been able to function properly at all. So driving was a challenge as well. My wife asked me to go to AA. I know it's not really what was needed because Alcoholics Anonymous, I didn't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
So I went because I needed to be around people that are battling an addiction and kind of see where they're coming from as well. And
absolutely,
I was probably about day 2 or day 3 in my withdrawals, and I went to my first AA meeting, and I was just constantly moving around. I felt like a like drug addict, and
right.
A lot of the team leads came up to me after got to know me, and I felt like I wasn't 100% welcome because I let them know that I don't really have an issue with drinking. It's a substance, and where I live, there's not that I know of at the time because this is all new to me, where I could go to get Kratom Sobriety. So AA was probably the best option. And the team lead says, I don't think you are needed to be here. So I was like, I didn't feel very welcomed, but I still continued to go because I knew that's something that I personally needed, is to be around people that are battling something and they're taking one step at a day at a time to their addiction and achieving their long-term goals, in which I currently was going through major withdrawals during that time because I was taking one day at a time. And and I stayed there for about 2 months, going there 2 to 3 times a week. And that kind of helped me out a little bit. And then a couple of weeks after New Year's, I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe I can just have one. Let's just try it out. And did not. And it just gradually started getting back up, maybe 2 to 3 bottles a day. My wife caught me, and she found out about it. And I stopped. That was my last day. We had a really big heart to heart conversation. And this was the addiction taking over because she says, "Do you even want to be with this family? Do you want a divorce?" And the addiction itself said yes. And I would never even
Whoa.
say that. No. And so I came home after a work trip and she had this full collage for me of like our life together. We've been together for going on 13 years, married for
Oh,
10. And it was ever since we were kids, all our travelings through Europe, our honeymoons, and us growing up in our family. And I just broke down crying. And I think it struck a chord in my heart, letting me know that this is not who I am. It's the addiction itself. And it grabbed me. And I hear
yep.
everybody on this podcast say that it sinks its teeth into you, and it does. And it turns you into somebody that you're most definitely not. So, anybody out there listening right now, you're struggling with this right now and you're not your normal self, or you feel like you're not your normal self, or somebody has brought it up to you, it's not you. It's the addiction itself talking. It takes a
Yep.
hold of you like a possession. So that was my last day. We had that conversation on January 30th, and then January 31st was the day I did not have any. And I have been going for 9
Okay.
months now.
That's amazing. Wow. Woo. Just take a deep breath here. That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
it was. Yeah.
Woo.
And then also there's a whole bunch of side effects as well on top of it that I was
Of course.
having as well. If I would have
Do
drinks
you
with
want to
coworkers.
share? Yeah. Do you want to share some of your side effects? Maybe like what you struggled with the most?
Yeah, my libido was completely down. Didn't have any desire for it
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And when I would have drinks with coworkers, or if I went out and had drinks, I would break out in a rash. Like I have a photo still. My whole entire face turned bright red with like almost highs. My eyes turned bright red and it shot down all the way down to my chest. And it just felt like my skin was on fire. And I think this was maybe the mixture of having the blue bottles and alcohol combined as well.
So this was the same day that you had a kava kratom drink. You would
Mhm.
have alcohol sometimes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a big deal not to combine those two, but generally you hear, "Oh, you'll feel really sick and you'll definitely throw up." And that's usually what you hear, but your
Yeah.
body was telling you no
I think my
in a
liver
different
was
way.
telling me no. My
Everything
body
was like,
and
"Nope."
liver. Yeah. And then also
Yeah.
constant throwing up. It was such a norm for me to throw up all the time. I was
Was
never
it?
hungry. Yeah. It
Oh,
was just, when I would drink those, because it wouldn't make me hungry, and I would just throw up after I
yeah.
had way too many on an empty stomach. And yeah, it
Yeah.
was just constantly
So,
nauseous.
do you know did you lose a certain amount of weight?
Yes,
A lot of
I
people
did because
tend to. Yeah.
yeah, I would eat unhealthy. Of course, wouldn't be choosing the most health hearty meals because I just wanted something fast and quick. And then so that I can get back to drinking the blue bottles. And
Yeah.
my wife and I, we've traveled so much through the world. We're major foodies. And this is one thing that I did notice is that having this addiction took me away from being a large foodie. I lost like the gratification, satisfaction of enjoying like a elegant meal. One of my top meals I've ever
Yeah.
had was we were in Paris and I got foie gras. It's not legal here in the States.
Okay.
So we stood in line and got it. And it was one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. And also another meal in Puerto Rico. So
Yeah.
it's just, and now I'm just like, when I eat food, it doesn't taste the same to me that it did. And I know that my whole, somewhere in the brain is going to reconnect and fix itself. I'm really hoping, but I still love food, but it's just, I don't have that passion and drive for it that I used to.
So, you're saying that you don't have the anticipation or the excitement around it, or more that it doesn't taste the same?
It's the anticipation and excitement. It's
Yeah.
Everything. It tastes great to me still, but I think it's the opioid receptors are just depleted right now and trying to
Yep.
reconstruct itself to get back to its normal.
It's true. It's true. And if you're a foodie and you love food before this addiction hits, and then during and after that goes away, that could be applied to anything that you really love or get excited about. It's going to go down for a while, sometimes a year or a little bit more, while everything like recalibrates, and it will come back. It's gradual. And then you'll look around and be like, wait, I'm excited for this meal. It's happening. Like it'll sneak up on you. You might feel a little bit hopeless and sad that you're not excited, and then it will come back. It takes a while, and it's shocking how long it takes. It really isn't fair, but you're on the path.
Yes. Why can't we do a factory reset on our phones so fast, but yet we can't do it to us that quick? I have to wait a year or two.
Nope.
Oh my gosh.
I know, but just know that like you're not taking too long. Like it's part of it, and it sucks, but you're on the normal progress. Yeah.
I made my bed. Got to lay in it for a little bit.
I know. So I wanted to touch on the AA experience because it's unfortunate that someone said maybe you don't quite belong here, because that's the last thing you want to hear when you are feeling alone and hopeless. Maybe you don't belong here. It's, dude, like I got here. Can you just let me be here peacefully? And I'm really glad you kept going, even though someone said that. Like that took guts.
Yeah. I think he said something like NA or something like that. You need to be out of NA. And I was like, I just stayed.
I think, I'm glad you stayed. I think that any type of sobriety focused meeting that you can get to is good, especially if maybe you only have AA in your small town. And I tried to go to AA. I think my therapist definitely told me you should try AA, but you can apply it to whatever substance that you're on, and you don't have to talk about that substance in the meetings, but you can know that you're there for that, and the logic and the framework may still help you. And ultimately, I also felt like a little odd man out there because no one else was talking about it. And I'm like, gosh, does anyone even know what Kratom is? I don't even want to bring it up. So
yeah, they didn't know what Kratom was at all when I was there.
No. Yeah. And listeners, if you're listening to this and you're trying to find a place to go to, we have resources on our podcast for where to go to Kratom specific meetings. And they're actually every day now online. So there are resources now. But AA or NA, any of that is helpful. Whatever you can access, just do that. Anyway, I had to speak on that because I'm glad that you had the guts to stay for 2 to 3 months and be around other people in their own sobriety, even though they said maybe not.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I had to do it for my family. But then unfortunately, I relapsed right after that.
Okay.
So it wasn't too long where when I stopped, I didn't have withdrawals at all because I wasn't consuming enough of those blue bottles. And a green bottle that I found as wet think was twice as strong compared to the blue bottle. Yes, but though I think the only thing that I had withdrawals was maybe just a slight headache and a little bit of fog after that second withdrawal. And I hear that people have worse ones on their second one. But I think with my wife monitoring the situation and catching that it happened again as I relapsed, she caught it before I could really get hooked on it again. I didn't feel like I was extremely hooked on it.
Okay.
So it was maybe like 1 or 2 or 3. So.
Okay. Yeah. It hadn't escalated again.
No.
Okay. So you went to the AA meetings, you had the support of your wife. What else were you doing to work through your recovery in those first 2, 3 key months of getting it out of your system?
Just focusing on it. I was reading the AA book, the book that they pass around, the 12 steps. Everybody's asking me if they want to be my sponsor. And I was, no, I'm okay for right now. I was getting these phone calls like every day. Hey, I want to be your sponsor. And I'm like, yeah, but not the guy that said you shouldn't be here. No, he did not. He didn't give me a call.
Everyone but him.
Everyone but him. Everyone but him.
Oh God. Oh, and you're like, do you know what Kratom is? Because you can't be my sponsor if you don't know what Kratom is. You gotta be on the same page here.
He did actually.
Oh,
He
good.
did actually know what it was. That's why he said maybe you shouldn't be here, because I guess when he was coming off of heroin, he said that they were giving that to him to come off of the opioid addictions. And so
Yep.
that's when he was like, maybe you should be at the NA rather than here.
Ah,
But nope, I was like, nope, I'm coming
okay.
here because you are right down the street from me and I'm not going anywhere else.
Yep. Access is
And their coffee
important.
was
Mhm.
amazing. Yeah.
Really?
Their coffee was
Okay.
amazing. It kept me up all night.
Really?
It
Ah,
was the best coffee. I don't know where they got it. It's probably Folgers in a can or something. Who knows?
okay. That's funny. I never tried the coffee at the meetings. First of all, because they were always in the evening, and I was like, I don't want to stay up later, but I always figured it was like not great. That's
Yeah.
just me judging.
Never had an issue with drinking an energy drink and passing out within 20 minutes or anything like that.
Okay. Okay. So I'm curious. You said that you started drinking the tea back in 2018. That was honestly before Kratom was even out there. To have a kava bar in 2018 was rare. I feel like pre 2020, it was almost unheard of. Were they, I don't know, starting things out there earlier than most?
They were out here because before my wife and I got married in 2016, before we were even engaged, there was one that just opened up and we had no idea what it was. And we're like, oh, let's just go in there and check it out. And then one of our friends, he was a constant regular there. He's entrepreneurial and he wanted to open up his own, and he opened a couple of them. And then, so it was all open everywhere over here.
Wow. And you're in Northern
Kind of
California
like,
in kind of a
yeah,
hippie, not hippie, but alternative type town. Okay.
yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Because I know
Yeah.
that you had Katya on a couple days ago from New York.
Yep.
And she said there was a good amount there too as well. And they're back in the day. So they're everywhere now, especially Florida and Arizona too.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so you had the tea version of Kratom for almost 5 years. Was your wife drinking it with you, or was she apprehensive because of her pregnancy and pregnancy planning? Was that
She
during
was
that
never
time?
really a big, it wasn't during that time.
Okay.
So her and I would drink it, but it was never like a crazy amount because we could stop drinking it and then not have any withdrawals at that time, or we didn't even know that this tea could even cause opioid addictions as well.
Yeah.
But she wasn't the biggest fan of it. I was, because especially with the pain in the torn disc in my back, I was trying to avoid the ulcers from the medications, from ibuprofens and Aleve and Tylenol. So I was using it as an alternative. I was like, oh, it's a plant-based. This is great. It's like marijuana. It's great for you as well. So I used it. She didn't use it all the time. I would ask her, I'm like, hey, babe, I'm going to the kava bar. And do you want me to pick you up a tea? She'd be like, yeah, grab me one and another one for tomorrow. I'm like, okay. But then once she started realizing when we would go to those kava bars, it was the same people all the time. She just felt like it was a bar and it was like an addiction as well. So she didn't like it that much, but she still knew that I drank it. She said that, hey, let's not spend too much on it. Let's stay at the ones where we get the free ones rather than going to the one down the street where we have to pay for it.
Smart.
Yeah. So we'd go there and she just, I don't like doing this. This is right before COVID, 2019. And she wouldn't drink it at all anymore since then. But I would drink it on occasion. And then thank God those blue bottles weren't out yet, because
oh my God,
I would have jumped on those right away. Yeah.
Yep.
I saw a video from one of our friends, kava bar they own. Same guy, two different other locations, had seizures while everybody was in there. He was sitting at a table by himself, and the ambulance actually had to come and take him out because he would smack his head, and they found a whole bunch of these bottles in his pockets. And the video was horrible. I was just like, oh my gosh. And this was before I even drank these items. And I was like, didn't think much of it. And then those were signs in the stars right there saying, stay away from this stuff. But I just completely ignored it. Then I heard it on a podcast, and then I was like, oh, this is a great alternative. Let me give it a shot. Like, I have self-control. I can do this.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, I do not have self-control when it came to that at all.
I don't think anyone does. Maybe some people do, but it acts so quickly in the concentrated versions that almost no one can get away with having it every day for 3 weeks without it affecting you and having it become a dependency. And it's hard too, because there is pain relief with it. And I remember back when I was first like learning about it, but didn't understand the addictive properties yet, I had this natural healer friend that I was talking with about it. She's, oh yeah, like I used to take it for my menstrual cramps and it was really helpful, and it wasn't a pill, and it was really helpful for pain. But then it can be really tricky. If you take it too much, you might start wanting it more. And I'm like, that's interesting. And it's hard because, yeah, you had severe back pain and you were getting ulcers. Of course, you're going to search for quote unquote safer alternative. Yeah. And also you're in a relationship, you have a job, you can't be smoking weed all day, getting high all day. Like, you got to find a way. And it seems okay. And there just was not enough information at all about it. And if you're drinking this tea for 5 years in community and your friend owns the business, like, why would you doubt it? Why would you be concerned? It's just normal. It just seems normal.
It most definitely felt normal. It was just something that we'd all drink because it was a social lubricant. It was something that we all enjoyed as well. As instead of going to the bars and getting drunk, we thought it was a much better alternative, which I believed it for many years.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that it was grabbing each one of us harder and harder each time.
The friend that opened the kava bar, did he ever get affected by this on a bad level? Did you watch any of your other friends go down the same rabbit hole as you?
I think everybody kind of kept quiet, and I removed myself from it pretty quick. I think that's why I found that alternative to those blue bottles, was because I removed myself from those areas. And so I was like, all right, gas stations are much more easier, and I don't have to be around people and just staying there all day. But then lo and behold, I didn't really think that it was going to just do that much. And especially after seeing the guy have multiple seizures at different locations on the CCTV.
Yeah. And you probably thought, oh, it's just that guy and he has like health issues and that's why we all do that. Oh, that person has a problem. That's just them.
Yeah, most definitely. And I remember you had a podcast, I forgot which one it was. Somebody was saying about a precursor to a seizure. It was, you would get like a tunnel vision, a little bit of dizzy or lightheaded. And I remember a couple times I had that before, where I closed my office door at work and just put my head down because I didn't know what was happening. I was like, this is like really strong right now for some reason. So I was like, what is it? So now that I heard that on the podcast a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh my gosh, like I almost had a seizure right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's scary when we think about what was actually going on and where it could have gone in certain moments or days or like long term. It's like you have to knock yourself out of that system and try not to hyper focus on it because it can be really scary, like the what ifs. And anyone that gets out of this at any point, it's what you can do and it's as best as you can do when you get out when you do. Yeah, that'd be scary. So you're 9 months out now. How is your day-to-day kind of mood, physical body? Like, how are you doing day-to-day kratom free at 9 months out?
My day to day, I'm doing great. Of course, having those lower back pains. I went to studying naproxen, which is a leave, and it's not as hard for ulcers.
Yeah.
So I stepped away from ibuprofen because those are main causes for stomach ulcers. So I'd only take about one a day, which is like 200 milligrams, I think. So it's nothing
naproxen?
crazy.
Yeah.
Naproxen. And
Okay.
whatever, I don't even know the milligrams because I know ibuprofen is 200 per tab.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the naproxen is. But yeah, one will do it all day. That label saying all day back and pain relief, it most definitely is true.
Yes.
But
yes. Long lasting.
it helps out, and the ulcers went away. When I first stopped, when I was traveling for work, there was a lot of times where I'm like, oh, this would be great to drink one while I'm driving, just because long road trips and everything like that, driving from city to city. And I had to get over that hump. That was the hard part because I'm by myself. I don't have someone there to monitor me and tell me no at the time.
Yeah.
So I just had to have full self responsibility for myself rather than relying on everyone else. And that was hard. That was extremely hard, but I got through it. And then now whenever I go into the gas stations or liquor stores, I am seeing these blue bottles and other bottles, different colors, different name brands. They are everywhere. And I don't have any desire. I look at it, don't think of like at first, yeah. In the first couple months, I was like, oh, I would love to have one. But now I look at them like, never again, not doing this again, not going back down that rabbit hole. But then I would ask, and this hurts my heart so much, is that I would ask the person behind the counter and I would ask them like, hey, do you sell a lot of these? And the guys would always say, oh, they'd always say the same sentence saying, oh yeah, so many of them. I was like, do a lot of the same people come in and grab them? He says, oh yeah, I'll have one person come in 5 to 6 times a day grabbing it. And he says, one guy asked me, he said, what is this stuff? And I was like, it's literally liquid heroin you're selling. Oh my gosh. And I was like, is it addictive? And I'm like, very addictive. And I would tell him that I was addicted to it for a year and a half.
Good.
And I said, it's very bad for you. But they're there to make money. So I can only put in my 2 cents as far as I can with that. But if it's not regulated by the FDA, they're going to sell it no matter what.
Yeah. I'm glad you started talking about the reality of it. It's scary to see it there and know the harm and damage it can cause. And then just to have these poor vendors that are just selling Coke and Pepsi and then Kratom, not understanding what it is. They're like, oh, it's in the store. It's just a product. And yeah, I think it's important to say what it is. If you have the bandwidth to do it and you have someone who's open to having a conversation, like the more people that know, even just that, it can be helpful because that might make a difference for someone that comes along and asks the vendor like, hey, what is this? And they're like, I've been told maybe it's addictive, but a lot of people like it. Like, you never know, it might impact someone's decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was at one gas station and I saw one. It was I'm not going to say the gas station because I don't want to get monetized. I asked the person if they sell a lot of this too. And they says, oh, we do. The rep came in and gave us some. And I was like, oh, how'd you like it? They said, I did not like it at all. I was like,
good.
So there's a rep that goes around. They're literally just mobile drug dealers, legal drug dealers that are giving out free samples, trying to get you hooked onto it. And my curiosity always gets me. I went onto its website, looked at its career job opportunities, and they're getting paid very well.
Yes. Would you care to disclose what you saw?
Base salary for a territory sales rep, I think, is $120,000 salary, not based off the top of commissions and other incentives that they get. I had my brother-in-law, he sent me a photo. They have a fully wrapped vehicle with their brand name all over it.
No.
Oh yeah. It's a Toyota RAV4 and it's fully wrapped and they're driving around not just as a billboard. And
oh man,
it's crazy.
That's the first I've heard of that. Oh, it's probably like company car too.
It's a company vehicle. No. I'm gonna see if he sent it to me over Snapchat. I'm gonna see if he still has that. I'll send it to you.
I want to know. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I saw that that company had posted for a sales rep posting in my general area, and I feel like it was around $100K a year. And I took a screenshot of the posting and I was just like shaking my fist at it. God damn it. They pay them well. And it's just, yeah, they're well paid drug dealers, and it's currently somehow legal, and it probably won't be forever. And this is a weird time that we are in watching this unfold.
Yes,
Oh,
most definitely is. Yeah. We all didn't think much of it until.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like you have been talking with at least family about what happened with you. Have you been more open about your healing and what you went through with others?
Yeah, my brother-in-law, him and I are best friends, and he
Aw.
knows all about it as well.
Okay.
My wife, her and I talk about it all the time, just so that I can be more open and honest with her.
Of course.
When my wife found out the second time that I relapsed, she went to my parents, and they didn't think much of it because it's a tea. It's an herbal substance. Like, what's the issue? So is poppies. It then turns into heroin. So they didn't really think much of it. But then my sister knew about it. She told my sister, I have a network that I can reach out to.
Good.
I think that's the best thing. I would say it's impossible to do it alone. You're going to need somebody to help. So anybody that is struggling, please find a friend. They're not going to judge you. Trust me. You might need to explain what this is because it's so new. It's not your fault. Yep. It's out on the market. They're marketing it as a health alternative to drinking, but it's not. So just don't feel the shame. I felt the shame, and especially financially. And it was just, the world goes on. It's just, you need to focus on your future. And also just make sure you're asking for help. No one's going to judge you. I promise.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all of that 100%. Do you have any tips for how you work through cravings in those first couple of months, especially when you were on the road?
Man, I would just listen to podcasts. I wouldn't look at it. I would do my best not to look at it. And I wouldn't go into certain gas stations where I needed to get gas just because I knew they sold it there. So I would go to a different gas station where I know they don't sell it. So I would avoid it at all costs. Okay. If you're around people that are drinking it, I would stay away from it just until you get a head on your shoulders. Do not try it again after you have full sobriety. Taking half of one, even though it says take half of one. We all know that we weren't taking halves. We all know that. For drinking 6 to 8 bottles, that's a lot of halves right there. So don't do even half. Don't even take a sip of it. Don't even fathom the thought of putting that bottle to your lips.
Yeah.
So you just need to avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any other advice for someone that's preparing to quit Kratom?
Yeah, just find a support system. Find the person that you love most and then just reach out to them and talk to them and let them know. And then have them help you. I'm sure that anybody that you're telling this to and loves you, and they'll probably join you to these NA groups or AA groups where they may tell you you're not at the right place, but just, you can't do it alone. Just ask for a handout.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add or mention before we pull a card for you? Because you did ask for me to pull a card for you. So anything else you want to say before that?
Yes, because I heard the podcast with Mackenzie and I was like, I've never had my reading. So I'm most definitely going to take advantage of this with Lily.
Anything else that you wanted to share?
Yes. This podcast has been extremely helpful for me while I'm on the road. Even though they're about an hour long, there's a lot of episodes to listen to. They're great. So it's a breath of fresh air hearing that I was not the only one stuck in the trenches with this horrible item that was dragging me down. It's unfortunate that it's happening to so many other people, but it's a breath of fresh air knowing that there's other people out there that have sobriety on it as well. And they're out here getting on the podcast to make a difference so that you can spread the word. That's why I'm on here, because I wanted to tell my story so that people that are struggling or are still drinking it and they're thinking like, hey, you got to get off this. This is the best platform for this.
Yay! That's what we want to hear. We want to hear that it's helping you and helping you listen to things while you're struggling with cravings and just, know that you're not alone and that everyone has a unique story, but we are all sharing the experience of this is a struggle and what the hell?
Yeah.
What on earth? So thank you for that. That's what keeps us going. We are all volunteers and we all do this because we're mad at Kratom and we want to help people figure out how to get through it and move forward in our lives. Okay. So that being said, I'm going to pull a card for you. I've already shuffled the deck and I'm using the Wild Unknown Archetypes guidebook. So it's different archetypes like people, places, things that you might identify with. I'm going to just hold up the cards and I'm going to move my finger and you tell me when to stop.
All right, stop.
Okay. Got the card. Ooh. Okay, so we pulled a card called the Shaman. And on the card, there's diamonds. There's a hand reaching out towards a snake with skulls and a pearl. All kind of interesting stuff happening here. I'll send you a picture of this later too. Okay. So let me find the description. I don't think I've pulled this card in a long time. Okay. The shaman, the sorcerer, the medicine woman, the magic. 3 archetypal ingredients constitute the shaman, and all must be present in order to reveal its magic. First, the shaman is activated by long-standing and diligent study, the mentor. Second, its orientation is generously and accurately aimed towards the healing of the self, the other, and the culture, as in the healer. And third, the shaman has a knack for finding doorways to another world, allowing psychic visions and old magic to leak into this world, the unseen. In this way, the shaman is a master who bridges the everyday and the sacred, revealing potent power needed desperately in our time. Where there is power, there is also shadow. So the shaman must be vigilant in studying their own darkness. This card reminds us that the force of healing is ultimately not our own. We must shape it and share it with the world. Hello.
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 I couldn't have picked a better card.
Oh my God. Okay. Yes, archetypal guidebook. Wow. That seemed very fitting.
That was extremely appropriate for this.
As you're literally sharing your story of healing with the world. My goodness. Yeah. And then another thing at the bottom, it says, when this card feels light, it's about being a fearless student and practitioner. And when the card feels dark, it's about overpromising, blame, and hurting yourself and others. So there's definitely like a duality based on how you're feeling right now, too. Wow. Okay.
Great. That was a great card.
Oh my God. I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a text of the picture and the description so you can study that a little more too. Thank you so much for your vulnerability, telling your story. I know that was hard at times and you really opened up. And I know that you are not the only one who has gone through some of those things. Someone else out there is going to hear that and go, oh my God, I've been waiting for someone else to share that because I've got to be the only one. This is nuts. And so I appreciate you sharing those hard things. And thank you for being written with your words. I know that you prepared a story and I just appreciate that you did so much work to prepare for this and just a breath of fresh air to talk with someone else in this open way. And I love the conversation. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lily. Thank you for having me on. And thank you so much for all the work that you're doing to spread the word and get this out there, help anybody that is in need of this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.